Hello, this is Lisa Keelan, and this is my presentation on collection development policies, importance and bias. Why should libraries have a collection development policy? First, to explain who collects the items and why. Who should collect the items? An educated librarian is the most qualified person to determine what to include in the collection. Why should certain items be included? According to Martis, collection content may be either collection-oriented, which means based on subject, age, or materials lists, or it could be user-centered, which means it's based more on a purpose, such as curriculum needs or to encourage reading. School libraries typically use both. The collection should be based on community analysis, meaning looking at the demographics of the community, languages spoken, how we all look, our backgrounds. It could be on environmental scanning, which means what's going on in the world around us, and should also be based on a needs assessment. What does the community need us to include in the library? Second, a collection development policy should identify collection criteria. According to Martis, librarians should ensure the collection considers intellectual freedom, professional ethics, rights of users, and concern for intellectual property. In addition, collected items should relate to the collection as a whole and be considered for literary quality, currency, accuracy of information, appeal and value, curriculum application, quality of presentation, and format. And third, the collection development policy can be used to defend the collection or the removal of items. It can be used to determine the inclusion of certain items. It can be used to determine the removal or weeding of items. The clue method is especially helpful in this area. And it could also be used to include a reconsideration policy and form. I'll now address the topic of self-censorship. Using the article titled, "What the Shelves Aren't Saying, an Exploration of Self-Censorship in High School Libraries," I discovered that in this study, researchers looked at the OPAC of 90 Texas public schools to determine whether they contained 50% or more of 55 titles considered controversial. They used their data to determine two major things. First, they looked at the extent of high school librarians engaging in self-censorship and found medium and smaller campuses were statistically more likely than larger schools to possess fewer than 50% of the 55 titles. This suggests librarian self-censorship, which denies access by patrons. We also determined the relationship between schools' characteristics and the absence of controversial books. They found larger campuses were more likely to own titles with controversial subjects. Certain topics were less prevalent than others. For example, transgender and LGBTQIA+ were less prevalent than profanity, drinking, and drug use. So what's the problem with self-censorship? It limits patrons' access to controversial books, and it limits the ability for patrons to experience windows, mirrors, and sliding doors. Why is it important to be aware of your own biases? Well, for me, I am the gatekeeper of what is included in the library's collection. My biases can limit and or deny the benefits associated with diversity. So, let's talk about quality versus appeal of books. In the article Children's Collection Development, Good Books or Books Kids Like, Kyle made some important points. Books in any format have value. Quality is subjective. If someone likes a book, it has good quality to that person. Books based on famous media characters should be reviewed for age appropriateness and whether they maintain the media's qualities. Try to buy books with quality and appeal. Try not to buy books with neither. So what impact does that have on my collection? Well, I'm going to ask the community what they want. I'm going to refrain from judging what they want, and I need to accept that some books are going to have a short shelf life. They're based on the latest, greatest movie, and kids want to read about that, and then a couple years down the road, everybody forgets about that movie. Well, I might have to remove the materials and just accept that that short shelf life was worth getting the books and getting the kids excited about reading. These are my references.